Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Snitches Gaming. This is your host, Moist Oyster. Today we're going to be talking about the Tier 6 United States Navy all-gun cruiser, the Pensacola, aka the Pepsicola. It's the first in a long line of all-gun cruisers for the United States Navy that emphasizes anti-aircraft over anything else. Not to say that it's bad at anything else, but it is what it is, and it is an anti-aircraft destroying machine. All right, so let's look at the first bit of information. The Pensacola can go 32 knots with the way I have this set up, but it doesn't turn that much. What that means is you're pretty average for a cruiser or another ship. You're barely going to be able to outrun a Congo, and anything that's a destroyer is just going to outmaneuver you. It's nothing really to write home about at all. All right. So the first thing you're going to look at is you have 10 203 millimeter guns. Those are pretty good guns. However, the reload time is 11 seconds. That's shit. The range is 10.6 kilometers. Again, shit. Your HE damage is 587. That's all right. The chance of fire is 6%. That's all right. That adds up after time. The main battery AP damage is 817. That's actually fairly decent. The Citadel damage 200%. Turret traverse speed is 8.56 degrees. None of that is spectacular. It's middle range for the most part. Your secondary guns, they're secondary guns. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. The secondary guns are, they shoot HE. You can get them out fairly decent. 5 kilometer range. I mean, that's not too bad. When you get in that range at this tier, especially against other cruisers, you need to be worried about torpedoes because as the only cruiser that doesn't have torpedoes, that kind of puts you at a disadvantage. Um, your advantage is the fact that you've got some guns that you can take people to Pound Town to, although they're slow. All right. So this is the bread and butter of the Pensacola, your AA. As you notice, your large caliber AA damage is 134. Mind you, with it, this is with my setup also, but it's 134. The range is 4 kilometers. The small caliber AA damage is 118 with a range of 1.61 kilometers. At this tier, you're not going to be able to knock out entire air groups by yourself. The best way to play this AA, if you're going to, is to sit close to a battleship, a friendly carrier, or just like pack up or something, and you're just going to be like the major contributing factor to knocking that air group down. At this tier, one, two, maybe even three planes might get knocked down, and that's if they're bringing in torps and bombers and stuff like that. But you're gonna knock a couple of those airplanes down. But it's the difference between having like four torps come flying at a battleship or a carrier, or even yourself, and two torps. Potentially, if you're grouped up with another battleship or a carrier or something, you can knock out one of the fire bombers like completely out of the sky before they can even touch you. Um, so it's something to consider. In the later tiers, it gets better and better. And for instance, the Des Moines, if you have the Des Moines set up for anti-aircraft, you can knock out a tier 10 air group out of the sky before they even have a chance to react. It's actually pretty sweet. Um, so, that's my build for this particular line of cruisers. The reason for that is they get the most bonuses. Yes, there are other ships at this tier that can do that. The Russian line, um, they're okay at it. It's nothing spectacular, but it's a night and day difference between the Russian and the Japanese line. So, the DeGrasse can do it. There's a couple of other ships that, they're okay, but by far, the Pensacola is top tier when it comes to anti-aircraft. All right, so here you got your camouflage, you got your +4 to ship hit points, main battery firing range, large caliber AA, torpedo damage reduction. And now you have your elite ship bonus. Your first selection is cruiser modernization with plus 2% ship hit points, plus 5% large caliber AA damage, plus 7% main battery traverse speed. Your second choice is elite gun operator. You have a minus 3% to main battery reload time and a plus 7% to main battery traverse speed. Your final option is meritorious service with a plus 10% experience points bonus. And finally, this is your choice of equipment loadout. As you can see, I chose for a heavy amount of anti-aircraft because it's the U.S. Navy, and why not? All right, all right, all right. So here we go with some gameplay footage of the Pensacola. And in any game, regardless of what you play, the first thing you want to do is you want to check out the mini map, tell everybody else on the team, hey, I'm here, I'm not AFK, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to pick a lane to run down. You're going to go right, left, or middle, right? And a cruiser, regardless of what nation you play, your job is to be a middle linebacker. You're going to go with the flow. Sometimes you're going to assault. Sometimes you're going to have to pull back and help a base from being capped. In this case, I immediately switched to HE because 9 times out of 10, as a cruiser, the first thing you're going to run into is going to be another destroyer. I'm going to lead off where appropriate, and I'm going to start taking into Pound Town. That's exactly what I'm going to do for the next minute or so. Now, if you notice, I haven't gone full broadside. There's a reason for that. Because if you see on the mini-map, there's some battleships over there, and yeah, I am kind of broadside to them, but I'm taking a gamble here. I'm looking at the map and all that sort of stuff, and I'm trying to burn down this destroyer as soon as possible. The quicker the destroyers get off the playing field, the much easier it is going to be for the rest of the team. Now, he launched a bunch of torps. I kind of saw him coming, so I dodge him. And now next thing I do with this Omaha over here, I know I'm an up tier on him, so I'm not too worried about it, but I also know that he has torp, so I'm trying to burn him down as quick as possible. I switch to AP, I start switching off between my main guns and my secondary. I'm trying to burn this guy down as quickly as humanly possible. I wasn't paying attention to my minimap and noticed that we ran into the edge of the invisible wall of oceans, so I'm in the process of turning around right now. But because that destroyer got killed, that other cruiser that's with me, we're both supporting each other. He's taking shots at the Omaha, I'm taking shots at the Omaha. So we're focusing fire. This guy is going to go down really quick. And that's exactly what happens. Alright, so I take another quick look at the mini-map. I check my stats and my vitals. I'm looking pretty good. Things are looking upbeat. So far, it's looking like we're going to win this game, but there's still 3 minutes left. Anything can happen, right? So next thing, we got in New Mexico. I switch over to HE. AP can penetrate. However, with the all-or-nothing design of Tier 6 and up battleships, if you don't hit them in the bow or the stern, which is the very front or the very back of the ship, chances are, as a cruiser, you're not going to penetrate that battleship. Especially with the case of the USN cruisers. So what I do is I just spam HE, try and light them on fire, get a little bit more damage going. You notice how I'm bowed up on them. And I still take a pretty good hit. But I can guarantee you that if I was broadside, I probably would have just got deleted. So, and also what I do is I try and time these shots. I time them in such a way that, I might take a couple hits with the secondaries. I can take that. I can't take a full broadside from a battleship. That's going to bring me down into nothingness. At this point in the game, there's still 2 minutes left. There's a Congo hanging out by the spawn. I just want all you battleship players to know that is not okay. I'm not sure if this dude was AFK or not and came to the game late, but don't ever just sit at the spawn if you're in a battleship, man. That's one of the worst things you can do. You pretty much, in a 7v7 game, you take an immense amount of firepower and hit points off of the table by just sitting in the back. Granted, some of the battleships are meant to be sniping and stuff like that, but even then, man, like, this battle could have easily turned out in their favor if this guy would have been a little bit more proactive. Instead, he's sitting there till the last minute. He takes a couple pop shots. He starts turning. And it's just not any good for that team. But as you can see, at this point he's getting swarmed. I'm just HE spamming. These guys are just like hucklebucking him with the torpedoes, and it's a wrap. We come off with an easy win. Um, if you like my video, like and subscribe to Snitch's Gaming, man. I'm gonna be making some more videos, so stick around. Thank you for appreciating it. Goodbye.